What's going on, y'all? Minutes with Mellon. Try to take long videos and make them shorter. It's crazy today. This shit is getting crazy. The shit that's out there now is like, oh my god. So we're gonna try to start it off with a little joke first before we go full fucking nuclear.
He's calling Tim Walz Tampon Tim now.
Unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was. I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. It's such a good nickname. He's so good at it.
That guy loves to talk shit. He's calling Tim Walz Tampon Tim now.
What's next?
To take us through real clear politics, battleground matchups. In which states is he ahead?
He's ahead in every single battleground state. So, of course, we'd like to think that all the states matter, but the reality is we know that those battleground states, they are going to be all too important come Election Day. So let's take a look at the latest Real Clear Politics battleground matchups between Harris and Trump. So he's up in every single state, in some cases by very small numbers, though. So keep that in mind. The biggest spread does seem to be in Georgia, where RCP has him up by 2.2 points. The tightest states are Wisconsin and Michigan, where Trump is just up by 0.2 points. Trump really started to pull ahead in this battleground state poll on September 27th. So they've been tracking it since Biden was the top of the ticket, and he's been up since September 27th and has maintained that gap.
Awesome. So now Trump's ahead in every state. I don't see how anybody can vote for Kamala. I really don't.
A Fox News legend goes all out in this powerful 30-second statement.
I don't care whether you like Trump or not. Trump governed this nation in a responsible way where everybody prospered. And if you don't believe that, you're a moron. Every single thing, every single indicator was on positive territory. All the working people, no matter what color they were making more money and there were more jobs. We didn't have inflation. We didn't have supply problems. We didn't have any of it. Now we got all of it, in addition to an open border.
A Fox News legend goes all out in this powerful...
Pretty much. Whew. Oh, this chick's crazy.
Listen, you can say what you want, but she ain't lying.
And I never thought that I would ever get to the point where I would sympathize with Donald Trump.
Damn.
But Trump really has my sympathy right now. Because for the first time, he really is telling the truth and nobody's listening.
Jack, you speak things to existence and you know what's coming most of the time, right? Like, we know that. You've been on record saying about Diddy and all this stuff. Like, you just know what's going to happen. Who wins the election? Who do you think?
In my honest opinion, it has to be Trump. It has to be. Because if we vote DNC, we're voting for liars. It's just that simple. The DNC is lying.
Yep. 100%. So they're pulling out. Oh, so much dumb shit. They're cheating already. All the election cheating.
In just 7 years, in 2023, that number dropped to just 39%. Now, does that mean they say they are leaning Republican? I don't know. You know, there are, what's the saying? There are lies, there are damn lies, and then there are statistics. You can't really know if, like, well, they're all Republicans, but I think it's certainly not outside of the realm of reasonable possibilities that at least some of them are. And I think that's because the Democrat Party has become the party of beta males. Dudes don't want to be beta males. Some males are beta-esque, and that's actually no problem. It's fine if you're not, like, Not alpha. Not everyone's like super huge alpha giga Chad. I'm definitely not. Most women also don't. You know, if you take the pro-choice discussion off the table.
Audience, and given that a lot of the folks that Trump seems to be targeting might be listening to that.
Well, yeah, I think that the vice president's happy to go anywhere and any place to talk to a broad segment of the country. We talked with Rogan and his team about the podcast. Unfortunately, it isn't going to work out right now.
What does that mean?
Because of the scheduling of this period of the campaign.
Scheduling? You won't make time? You won't make time to go on the world's biggest podcast? I don't believe you. She knows that Joe Rogan doesn't like her. She knows that Joe Rogan fans don't like her. And she knows she is completely incapable of sitting down for a 3-hour unscripted conversation. Now, will Trump talk for 3 hours? Boy, if they let him, he probably would. I'm going to guess the Trump podcast will be closer to an hour, hour and a half. I would be absolutely shocked if it was 2-3 hours. I would be shocked in a good way because I really hope that he releases it today. And look at this. After now this lily-livered, limp-wristed excuse with rounding the way that Polymarket has it, Donald Trump now leads by 32. 34% betting that Kamala Harris will win the election with 6.
That's crazy. So but that's just the Polymarket, that's just Vegas and shit. So we know what happens when you go around and say, oh my God, Trump's Hitler. So what does Hillary Clinton do? Fucking evil ass bitch. God.
Essentially pledge their support for the kind of government that they were seeing in Germany. A lot of others may think, I don't want to go there. I don't want to say that. But please open your eyes to the danger that this man poses to our country.
Okay, all right. So before you answer,
yes.
Our research team found out the following Republicans who have been labeled as fascists or Hitler. All right, here you go. Nixon, Ford, Reagan,
look at that.
Bush, Romney, Paul Ryan, and Donald Trump.
Yeah, but if you listen to Democrats on the House floor, they have named every Republican this. It's desperation. I mean, when you listen to the Hillary Clinton, it seems like she never got over losing the presidency. She's angry. She'll always go the other side. She's known to do this, but this is real desperation. I mean, the key parts I would look at today. Kamala Harris has spent $1 billion, and nobody can tell me the 3 things she would do if she was elected president. She can't answer that question.
She can't. What are the 3 first? Well, first, you know what? If you were trying to run for president, you should actually write a fucking essay. 20 things that you would do, and you should just be able to just go down the line. She can't say any fucking thing that she would do.
You've got the swing states that are key for whoever will win the presidency, the Wisconsins, the Pennsylvanias. Those incumbent Democrat senators are running ads with Trump, not against him, but hugging him. That's a bad sign for her. And then if you watch these polls, if you compare them to where we were 4 years ago, even the New York Times poll, I think it had probably Biden up 8 as today. It's tied. The Fox poll has Trump winning the national vote. And then you have President Trump coming to Madison Square Garden. What Republican could do that and sell it out in 3 hours? He just came from California, big crowd. And if you look at Kamala Harris's during the convention, it was joy. It was happiness. I see none of that in her face.
Joy's gone out the window.
Yeah, that's a bad sign for her. I mean, you see it in their body language. You see it in the articles, the infighting. Who are they going to blame? That's just the body language we read, but all these polls are tight. We know before they have been wrong, so what do we see at the end of the day? It's whoever gets the low propensity voters out is going to win.
So you were former Speaker of the House. I know you pay. Wow, we could actually House Dems' anxiety spike better than the top of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Well, that is true. If you look at polls today, President Trump is outperforming the Republicans running for Congress. But you look at districts that he lost, and there are 16 districts that Republicans sit in that Biden carried. And what I'm finding is Trump's numbers are better. Ones that he lost are now tied or he's ahead. That should lift everybody's boat, but those Republican candidates haven't really got there yet. Democrats in the Congress have much more money than they've had before. They're utilizing it. But I think in these last 7 days, that's usually when it starts to move. I think if someone goes in and votes for President Trump, they're definitely going to try to help make sure the Democrats don't just come in and want to impeach him and not let him govern.
Yeah, I think the point you make about these Democratic senators in the Great Lakes states.
Wisconsin, Pennsylvania.
Wisconsin and Michigan, was
a woman who's running.
But I'm talking about the ads they're running that link them to Trump's policies. That's it.
Trump signed their bill. They're bragging that they voted with Trump. Now, could you imagine if Wisconsin, that Joe Biden only won it by 20,000 votes, but in the polling would say he was up 6%, same entire state, is hugging your opponent? That's not working together, and they're seeing something in their polls. And remember, in Michigan, Slotkin, who's running for Senate, she's been yelling for a long time, almost 3 weeks ago, that Kamala Harris is not strong in Michigan.
Right.
Now, here are the numbers from 4 years ago. Wisconsin was 20,000.
Yes.
Pennsylvania was 81.
Yep.
Michigan was 154.
The other
out of millions of votes cast.
Well, remember this: more than 150 million votes cast. 48,918 people determine who won the presidency. But also think of this: there is a Green Party candidate on the ballot, which Democrats didn't have before.
I've been thinking about this all week. We said that instead of having any political signs in his yard, he has Jill Stein signs because it makes Democrats more mad than a Trump sign because they think that she's the reason Hillary Clinton didn't become president.
Would you like to? Would you?
This is a sad story. An illegal immigrant got caught multiple times crossing the border and killed.
I want to thank everybody for Donald Trump, really, for the opportunity to be able to say my daughter's story. I know everybody knows somebody that was like her. She was 12. She was going to be a 7th grader. Preteens, they think they're invincible, and she was just being a child, and due to the Biden-Harris policies we have here are why she's not here anymore. She was taken from her vulnerability, and they made her a target and ran with that, and now I will forever be a grieving mother, and my son will forever be. Kamala Harris has never reached out to me, just even as a human, to give her condolences as a humane person running this country. I think it's very sad that she can't even just give me an open apology, sincere apology. She's attempted to apologize to me just days before this election, and I find it very inconvenient and a convenience for her. I appreciate everything Donald Trump, Senator Ted Cruz has done for me. They've been a tremendous amount of help for me.
I mean, Trump, actually cares. And he shows it time and time again. And that's what Jaguar Wright was talking about. He's telling the truth. People are not listening. Oh, in Virginia, this fucking piece, oh my God. Federal judge in Virginia, corrupt as fuck, put non-citizen voters back on the voter roll.
On the breaking news now, a federal judge just ordered Virginia to reinstate the more than 1,600 voters taken off the state's voter rolls after being identified as non-citizens. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit after their removal, which alleged that Virginia violated federal law by systematically removing those non-citizens from voter rolls too close to Election Day. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin says the state will immediately petition the court for an emergency injunction. We have Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin by phone for his very first reaction. And let's get that. First of all, welcome to the Faulkner Focus and your reaction.
Who is ordering Virginia to reinstate individuals who have self-identified as non-citizens back on the voter rolls. And what's even more astounding is the vast majority of these folks had even more as non-citizens in state individuals by a federal judge who is ordering Virginia to reinstate individuals who have self-identified as non-citizens back on the voter rolls. Folks had presented immigration documents confirming that they were non-citizens, and we recently had that verified by federal authorities. So here we are with a judge saying, put people back on the voter rolls who you know are non-citizens. And this is under a law in Virginia that's been in effect since 2006. It has been applied by Republican and Democrat governors alike into this 90-day period. And here we are 11 days before a presidential election, and a federal judge is ordering them back on the voter rolls. It's astounding to me that this could possibly happen. I mean, listen, common sense says non-citizens aren't on the voter rolls, but the Constitution and the law say it as well. And that's why we are immediately petitioning the Fourth Circuit for an emergency stay here on this.
I wonder if that fucking judge was bought and paid for by the Democratic Party.
CNN Townhall. Watch.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took a number, hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action. Congress has the authority and the purse.
Do you wish you'd done those executive orders in 2022, 2023?
I think we did the right thing.
Now, she was then asked about the border wall.
Let's talk about this compromise bill that you want to pass if you're elected. You said that's going to be a priority. It includes $650 million in funding for the border wall. That's something Republicans wanted. That was part of the compromise. Under Donald Trump, you criticized the wall more than 50 times. You called it stupid, useless, and a medieval vanity project. Is a border wall stupid?
Well, let's talk about Donald Trump and that border wall. So remember Donald Trump.
Bill that would earmark $650 million to continue building that wall.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think it's stupid anymore?
I think what he did and how he did it did not make much sense because he actually didn't do much of anything.
But you do want to build some wall.
She won't answer the fucking question. Do you want to build a wall? Well, Trump. But Trump did this. Just answer the fucking question, dude.
President of the United States.
Could you imagine giving this person the nuclear codes?
It's in the United States of America should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
There are many memes made of this. Kamala Harris's team throwing in the towels. Going in, stopping the interview. AI is out of control, bro. Yeah, but none of that happened with Lara Trump, man. None of it happened with Lara Trump. And rocked it. And it's Trump is dangerous for Lara Trump.
He got a little bit upset.
What did he do on
He got a little bit upset and used his words.
What words did he say, though?
The words that you said earlier.
Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
And then what happened after that?
So how were his words actually contributing to that?
Because I think that for me, him being able to just push a button, hypothetically speaking, it's a little bit scary because we've seen he gets a little bit erratic when he wants to.
Well, nothing happened for 4 years when he was in the White House. And in fact, we had a peaceful world. We had a stable world. We had world leaders who were coming to the table to talk about issues like Kim Jong-un of North Korea, by the way. You know, Obama, when he left the White House, told my father-in-law, he said, the biggest problem you're going to have is North Korea. It is going to be your biggest challenge. It's going to be the hardest thing you're going to have to deal with. And so Donald Trump said, all right,
I'm going to try to see what we can do here, because we want to have a denuclearized Korean Peninsula. We do not want North Korea with a nuclear weapon. That is detrimental. I mean, talk about nuclear war. Can you imagine? Talk about a loose cannon, Kim Jong-un, really? And so he started trying to make contact with him, and he was the first president to walk across the DMZ and shake hands with the leader of North Korea to have conversations about getting rid of a possible nuclear weapon with North Korea. That is great for the world. The world leaders did not even try it with Donald Trump because they knew he meant business. When he drew a line in the sand, he meant it. And the proof is in the pudding. So, you can say, oh, well, we're worried about this. You had 4 years. You had no new wars. You had peace agreements instead of wars breaking out in the Middle East. Look at it right now. It is a hornet's nest, and it is very scary, the trajectory from here to what could happen if you don't have the right leadership in the White House.
Lara Trump asked about having the Trump last name. What does this mean for your life? Love this answer.
Question. I wonder for you, how tough is it having the last name Trump? Because you are the co-chair of the RNC. You do have the last name Trump. We know you're the daughter-in-law. How hard is it for you to have to always answer questions about Donald Trump?
Well, nothing prepares you for this. I can tell you, growing up where I would have never expected to have the last name Trump. I certainly would have never expected to be involved in all of this. And yeah, sometimes it's challenging, but I'll tell you, I really believe when history looks back on this man, this is a man who never needed this job. You have to think back, like we were talking about before, Donald Trump was beloved by so many. He really got involved in politics because he felt he could make a positive difference. And most people would have had that first term in office and seen how much they fought against him and said, you know what, I'm not going to do this again. But he decided to come back and do it again. They indicted him, not once but 4 times, mugshot, obviously 2 assassination attempts. And this is a man who continues fighting for this country. And I will tell you, I'm incredibly proud to be his daughter-in-law. I'm incredibly proud to have the last name Trump. Does it come with its challenges because there is a lot of negative information out there about Donald Trump? Absolutely. But I can't think of anything better that I could be doing right now than trying to fight for the future of this country. And I really believe that when people think about their life with Donald Trump in office and their life right now, they will always say, my life was better with him in office. And we should all want a great country. And that's what I want. I want it for my kids. I want it for everybody's kids and grandkids. And it's not just about right now, it's about the future of America.
Lara Trump talking about what it means to fight for America.
And if you don't fight like hell,
okay, Charlemagne,
you're not going to have a country anymore.
Every politician, when you go out on the stump,
even after he got shot at, which was terrible, first thing he did when he stood up was say, fight, 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 fight who?
He wants to keep fighting for this country. And this is my father-in-law. I know things get really heated when it comes to Donald Trump. People have very strong...
I have no emotion with it.
People have very strong feelings about this man. But, gosh, guys, I can tell you, he is not doing this for any other reason than that he knows he can do the job necessary.
Our narcissism.
He wants to save this country.
I always say there's 2 reasons people run for office. They're either extreme narcissists or they are actual civil servants.
Well, imagine having a great life. Imagine giving it all up. Imagine knowing that the very people who were applauding you, who invited you to all the fancy events, who were some of your best friends, knowing, we just talked about this, they're going to turn their back on you. Imagine going through it one time and then saying, you know what, I got to come back and do it again because my work is not done here and I really believe I can do great things for this country.
Or you've gotten indicted so many times, that's your way to stay out of prison.
And you believe those were all legitimate?
I don't know if they're legitimate or not, but he had the charges. I mean, that's up for the courts to decide. He did get convicted of 34 of them. I mean, that's for the courts to decide. I don't, it's not my place to say.
We all know that if his name was not Donald Trump, none of that would have ever seen the light of day. And I believe all of those are going to be overturned because
they fucking.
Because if he wins, he's going to overturn him.
No, not because of that. You've already seen movement in that. The appellate courts have already looked at some of the things, like the Letitia James case. All of it. It's outrageous. It's all outrageous. And it is actually frightening because we should want good people with great ideas, great business leaders, great people in whatever section of the economy they're in, whatever their background. We want good, smart people to run for these offices. And what has happened with Donald Trump, I think, is so sad because it really deters good people from running for office. And we really need good people.
And Lara Trump talking about racism.
A lot of people.
Yeah, so I ain't doing much more of that. So, where is? I'll play this for like 2 minutes and then.
Always accuses you of what they themselves are doing or planning to do. Now, finally, RFK Jr. came out today, and it's gone viral, and pointed out what I've been harping on for a month that almost no one else is covering.
I made a video about this like 2 weeks ago. This is fucking insane.
Whoever's running the Harris-Biden administration, it was a coup. They removed Biden. It's totally illegal. Signed an executive order over a month ago that then the DOD responded to and put out DOD Manual 5240.0 and killing demonstrators and how to take over society for civil unrest. They say that. That's martial law. And I've been screaming for 2 weeks since Harris and Biden and all their surrogates began to say Trump's going to call out the military and have martial law and kill Americans with no evidence. They say, oh, he says he can kill Americans. Never said that. Exactly. They just make that up off a Supreme Court immunity ruling. It doesn't even say that. It's a total lie, a criminal lie. They're trying to get Trump killed. Now they say he loves Hitler, an old recycled lie. Now they say he didn't want to pay for a Hispanic veteran's funeral when he volunteered to pay for it, and that's all been debunked. This is crazy town. But the good news is RFK is very close to the president and is now talking to him about this.
Yeah, he's going to talk to Rogan and, dude, this shit is like, what the
nuclear war. I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. Nuclear war. I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, I would go so far as to say that a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for nuclear war. Here are some of my reasons for saying that. Former Vice President Dick Cheney endorsed Kamala, and she said she was honored to have his approval. Dick Cheney was the driving force behind a group called the Neocons, which started the Iraq War, in which the U.S. launched an unprovoked preemptive attack, the first in its history, in order to prevent Saddam Hussein from threatening the world with weapons of mass destruction. As history now shows, there were no weapons of mass destruction. It was all a neocon lie. Most 1964. Intelligence about the Gulf of Tonkin incident was faked because a fraction of our military-industrial establishment wanted that war. I'm concerned that today, not only do we have a faction of our military and intelligence establishments that desire war, they want a war right now with Russia over Ukraine. Russia is the largest are better than to use their law to allow them to respond with a nuclear attack. And the world was never closer to full-scale nuclear war. Can you imagine if the Mexican army was being backed by the Russians to launch Russian-guided missiles into American territory, hitting cities, hydroelectric dams, and nuclear power plants? Would the USA attack Russia in retaliation? It would be a miracle if we did. Kamala Harris is inexperienced in foreign policy, and her belligerent and hostile remarks about Russia during her acceptance speech at the Democratic Convention were extremely alarming. Those words demonstrated that she would be a perfect pushover, a puppet for the military intelligence faction that wants this war. We don't need a president who is so weak that she needs to prove her strength to the American people by sacrificing the life of American military personnel in foreign engagements abroad. Donald Trump has repeatedly said that he would negotiate with Putin to end the Ukraine war. If JFK were alive today, he would be standing side by side with President Trump on this issue. My uncle said the most important thing that we can do is to talk to our adversaries. That's why he installed a hotline in the White House and in his home at Hyannisport so he could communicate directly with them. A recent study predicts that World War III will last only 73 minutes, and that in that time, 5.8 billion human beings will die. And as JFK said, those who survive a nuclear war will envy the dead. If what?
Bro, fuck, man. With that shit from Alex Jones and Tulsi Gabbard joined the Republican Party. That was other major news, but dude, that's why she's saying like it has to be Trump. It just has to be. All right. That's my burrow for the day.